So.
Well, one of the questions that's interesting, and I hope you get well better soon. And obviously, shouts to Big East as well. But
yeah,
do you feel like not working so much in the pandemic maybe contributed to a lot of these kind of injuries that we're seeing happen? Because I know for me as a musician, having 2 years off and then trying to go up there and do an hour and a half, I was like, where's the oxygen tank? But like I just noticed the physical toll just on me by not doing it, because I feel like the more and more that I use the muscles in my voice or my hands or whatever, the easier it is to do every night. But do you think that played a factor in what's going on?
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're trying to say, because I think anybody, like you said, that when you're doing what you do and you do it on a consistent basis, you kind of you gain that muscle memory that is there. But when it kind of goes away, you have to get back to it. We professional wrestling, AEW, we were one of the only sports or things that never stopped.
Right.
we took maybe a month and a half, something like that off, because we filmed a bunch of stuff in Atlanta way back in was it March of 2020, because we just didn't know we were going to get to go back. And then Florida was very open, and so because our home base was in Jacksonville, we started going to Jacksonville, and we were it was empty arena wrestling, which was such a weird and odd experience. And shout out to all the extras that played our audience, because that helped out tremendously. But we never really stopped. So the difference between, I think, what you're talking about and what we dealt with was a little bit different, because again, we didn't stop. But to what you are saying, so I came from Japan, before I signed with AEW, and New Japan, especially at that time, their company was growing, it was booming. I'd go over there for a 21-day tour, and we would do 18 shows in 21 days.
Right.
So it was every single night wrestling. Well, then I come over to AEW, we're flying out there, and at the time we were doing 2 days of taping and whatnot. You might wrestle one time, maybe 2 times in those 2 days. That was a huge difference, because it went from, like I said, going for 3 weeks in Japan and wrestling 18 of the 21 days to maybe wrestling once or twice every other week. So that aspect, I actually see what you're saying and what you're talking about. One of my dogs is going crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not.
It's drowning out my cat, so that's great.
Yeah, we've got him locked in the room because we're getting something fixed at the house. Anyway, but yeah, that muscle memory and not doing it as often. I do remember, again, I was wrestling so much in Japan, and I don't remember hurting as much as when I would wrestle 1 time or 2 times every other taping. And I think it was kind of because we were going so hard in that moment, in that time that we got to wrestle. And again, your body's kind of relaxed from not doing anything. It almost seemed to hurt more sometimes than when I was wrestling 18 out of 21 days.
Well, that was to my point. I'm sorry, Dennis, but that was to my point, because if you're consistently taking bumps 5 days out of the 7 days a week, right? Like a lot of guys, before the shutdown. So I was just kind of curious. It's like, sometimes the muscles kind of get tighter and stiffer. You're not, the fascia isn't moving, and that, yeah. So thanks for answering that question for us, Dennis.
For sure. Sorry. And I'm no spring chicken, so.